In 1955, Mamie Till Bradley, an African-American woman in Mississippi, received at home the dead body of her 14-year-old son, Emmett Till. Maybe some of you heard or remember that. He was beaten beyond recognition, shot in the head, and thrown for hours in the Tallahatchie River. The horror of racism in our country spread one more time with another lynched black person, but his mother, Mamie Till Bradley, insisted that the sealed casket be opened for a 3-day viewing, exposing his son's battered and bloated corpse, so that, quote, that everyone can see what they did to her boy. And during the funeral, she cried out, "Lord, you gave your son to remedy a condition, but who knows but what the death of my only son might bring an end to lynching." And Mamie Till Bradley was right. Her son's death was not in vain. Martin Luther King Jr., preaching about this horrific incident, described it as one of the most brutal and inhumane crimes on the 20th century. And many other leaders and participants in the civil rights movement were encouraged and decided to begin their witness as a response to Emmett's lynching. Rosa Parks' manifestation happened just a few days after. Mamie Till Bradley could have locked herself in pain for what had happened to her son, but she decided to expose the brutality of our nation's culture. She believed that death was not the last word when something meaningful and transformational come from it. As Emmett's lynched body, the body of our nation is also being exposed out there, with the marks of centuries of discrimination and pain and segregation. Maybe we would prefer for the pain to go away by itself, to let the wounds heal in the outside while still hurting and itching in the inside. But the wounds are there, still fresh after centuries, still open, showing the bodies, black, brown, white bodies crucified, lynched, and tortured. We hope to find life and peace through the pains and the wounds of this nation, while exposing the history and stories of who we are today. We believe in the possibility because we have a story as the one we heard today in the Gospel, when fear and hopelessness seem to be the only response of the disciples, when the locked room could not contain any more the painful memories of the cross, when the wounds in their souls were so paralyzing, Jesus enters the room, greets them, and shows his hands and his side to the disciples. "Peace be with you," he said to them. Peace? Is peace possible after the crown of thorns, the nails, the tears of blood, the last breath? Peace? How is peace even possible when people are being crucified and lynched and shot? Jesus' peace comes in the midst of the disciples' fear and pain, as Jesus' peace is coming in the midst of our own struggles and pain and daily death in America. Peace. Peace be with you, dear friends. But Jesus' peace comes with his prophetic action of exposing his wounds, the same wounds caused by the punishment and the hatred of religious and political authorities. His wounds are still visible, or maybe fresh, even after the resurrection. While exposing them, Jesus is declaring himself the one who overcome hatred, death, and pain. While exposing his wounds, Jesus is giving an opportunity to his disciples to find peace. Not the peace that means the absence of conflict, not the peace of the violent Roman Empire imposed by force, but the peace that comes only from the one who triumphed over the horrors of life. This is the story of a Jesus' greetings of peace and his exposure of the horrors of the cross. And not by surprise, the disciples got the clue. They recognized him, not by a story he told them in the past, not even by the breaking of the bread, which he commanded them to do in remembrance of him. Only that, a greeting and the signs of the cross in his body. Those wounds, visible and fresh, were enough for the disciples to recognize the Lord. The exposed wounds and the peace are there for everybody to see. For the fearful disciples locked and sad, for Thomas still trying to understand what had happened, and for us today, trying to make sense of our faith, here and now. We celebrate today the baptisms of Robinson and Theodore, because we still believe that we find meaning and purpose when we become one body with the crucified and the risen Christ. While acknowledging his death, we die with him. And while rejoicing in his resurrection, we come to life eternal. Dear friends, let's not forget that the risen Jesus we praise today is the same crucified Jesus. Do not hide your wounds, your pain, your doubts, your faith, because maybe by exposing them, by honoring them, maybe by revealing the wholeness of our lives, we can find Jesus' peace. Jesus' peace abiding in us, over us, inside us. Peace be with you, my friends. Peace be with the victims of this world and our nations. Peace be with those who seek meaning and purpose in the midst of confusion and spiritual emptiness. Let the peace of the crucified and risen Christ be with you. Amen.